always ready.
You look ready.
We're on the record. This is the videotape deposition of William Don Tisaby. Today's date is March 19th, 2018, and the time is 9:55 a.m. This is the case of the state of Missouri versus Eric Greitens, case number 1822 CR 00642, pending in the Missouri Circuit Court, 22nd Judicial Circuit, St. Louis City. This deposition is being held at 1114 Market Street, room 401, St. Louis, Missouri, 63101. My name is Matthew Schnorf, the videographer associated with Pullman USA Court Reporting, and the court reporter is Angela Taylor, also with Pullman USA Court Reporting. Counselors, will you please state your appearance?
Kimberly Gardner, Circuit Attorney for the City of St. Louis.
Robert Durker, Chief Trial Assistant, Circuit Attorney's Office.
Michelle Nasser, Dowd Bennett on behalf of the defendant.
Jim Martin, Dowd Bennett on behalf of Governor Greitens.
Scott Rosenblum on behalf of Governor Greitens.
And will the court reporter please swear in the witness?
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Sir, will you state your name for the record, please?
William Don Tisaby.
And Mr. Tisaby, have you ever been deposed before?
Yes.
And when was that?
Probably, it could be like 39, 40 years ago.
What kind of case was that?
FBI case.
When you were an investigator?
Yes, when I was an investigator.
And you actually had a deposition?
Yes.
Was there a lawsuit involved?
No.
And who were you giving the deposition to?
Attorneys for the defendants. It was a healthcare fraud cases, several clinics, just a number of cases. And I remember just one of them. As best I can recall, it was one. Don't recall the attorney's name, but it was
it a
one.
civil deposition?
No.
It was a criminal deposition?
Yeah.
And what jurisdiction was authorizing criminal depositions?
It was in the, Michigan, Eastern District of Michigan. I think it was.
Federal court?
I think it was Mr. Martin. I think it was. Can't recall exactly when, though, but it was somewhere about 39, back in 1981, 82.
And you were being deposed as a witness?
No, I was being deposed in that case as for one of the defendants, I think. I have to go back and check. I can't recall right now.
You believe you were testifying on behalf of the defendants?
I can't recall. I'm trying to think. So long ago. I'd have to contact. I just can't recall that.
But you think that's the only time you've been deposed?
Oh, no, I've been deposed in my civil divorce matter.
Okay. And you gave testimony at that time?
I did.
Under oath?
Under oath.
Okay. And have you testified in court?
Yes, I have.
About how many times?
Oh, God. Probably 15 times.
And each time in a criminal case?
Criminal case.
And each time were you under oath?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And you understand you're under oath here today?
I do.
Did you meet with anyone in preparation for this deposition?
The circuit attorney.
And when was that meeting?
This morning.
Is that the first time you met with her to discuss this deposition?
No, she advised me when the deposition was coming, so we talked about it.
And when was that?
It had to be well over a week ago.
And did she indicate to you what you would be asked?
No. She just said it was in regards to this case and my reporting.
And that's the full extent of the conversation?
Yes, it was, sir.
Okay, and then you met this morning?
Yes, we did.
Did you go over any documents?
We went over just my reports that for the two witnesses, that's all.
That's the only documents that you saw this morning?
Yes, this morning it was.
Okay. And then let me hand you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 1. And do you recognize that as the notice of the deposition for you here today?
I didn't see this. I didn't, I don't think I saw this. I didn't take note of it. I just knew that I was going to have to be here this morning.
Okay, so nobody provided you with this notice of deposition? Exhibit 1?
No, I haven't seen this one, I don't think. I don't recall seeing it.
Well, let's look at Exhibit A, which is the second page of the Defendant's Exhibit 1. Have you seen that page before?
No, I haven't.
Well, this is a subpoena ducis tecum for you to bring certain records to this deposition. And this was not provided to you by the Circuit Attorney's Office?
She told me to bring my notes, bring my report.
Did she provide you with this Exhibit A to let you know what was being asked for during this deposition?
I don't recall seeing this.
Okay, so you have not been provided Exhibit A before today.
No, I haven't seen. I don't think I have seen this one.
So did you make an effort to find all the items that are listed in Exhibit A of Defendant's Exhibit 1?
No, I haven't. Because
And-
some of this is irrelevant.
Well, that's actually not for you to decide at this point.
I understand.
The question is whether you made an effort to find what is called for in this subpoena.
Yeah, what I had on my record, yeah, the reports.
Did you make an effort to comply with this subpoena? Defendant Exhibit 1, Exhibit A.
I did, sir.
You did, even though you had never seen it before.
I just, I knew that I was going to have to come in for an exhibit. I mean, for a deposition, and went over my reporting as regards to what I'd done in this case.
Okay, and what did you produce to the Circuit Attorney's Office in response to this subpoena, Defendant's Exhibit 1?
I turned over. I gave her the two reports of the two witnesses that I talked to, two people that I talked to, and that was the alleged victim and one of her witnesses, I think Jody Wagner and Miss Katrina Sneed.
And those are the only documents that you turned over to the Circuit Attorney's Office in response to this subpoena?
Let me look, make sure. Oh, I turned over a records check from one of our persons, and that was on Miss Katrina Sneed. Well, I was trying to just identify her for further identification when I first got her name and stuff. I had one of the agents,
What agent?
Henry Glaspie. I turned over his resume to the Circuit Attorney early on, saying he may be assisting us in this matter.
And he got you he did a record check on Katrina Sneed?
Just a check to see her current address. That's all.
Okay,
It's a phone check.
okay. Well, let's start with paragraph 1 of Exhibit A, which is a part of Defendant's Exhibit 1. It calls for you to turn over all reports, communications, email, text messages, notes, recording, and any other materials by any current or former employee of Ventura related to this investigation. Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And who did you turn them over to?
Miss Gardner.
And so did you turn over emails to Miss Gardner?
Any emails to Miss Gardner? Just the email with the records check of Miss Sneed.
Did you have other emails between you and the Circuit Attorney's Office?
Yes, I did.
Did you turn those over?
Yeah, because they were privileged documents.
Hold it. My question is, did you turn them over?
Yes, they did.
You
Yes.
gave them to the Circuit Attorney's
The
Office.
Circuit Attorney has a copy of any and all emails between us.
And how many are those would
I
there
can't
be?
recall.
Well, is it 10? Is it 100?
Don't know, can't recall.
You have no recollection whether it's just a few or a lot?
It was from the period of January through March.
Right.
I remember that was, sir.
So how often were you in communication with Ms. Garner or anyone from her office?
Kim and I was, Ms. Gardner and I were in communication like daily, orally, daily.
But only orally?
Orally and a few emails that we talked back and forth. And some of those emails when I was coming into town and when she was making reservations for me and stuff like that. It's just normal. But the other stuff, other information, that was between she and I, and we talked about those things.
About what things?
About the case, about where we were going with the case.
Okay, and how many emails like that are there?
Very few, if any, where we went to specifics. We would just exchange, hey, look, call me or whatever. But then she and I would talk face to face and on matters related to this case. But anything as far as any emails detailing anything we were doing, no, sir, there's none. I emphatically know that there were none like that.
Yeah, so you didn't create any emails detailing what you were doing? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, no emails detailing what I was doing. For my report, no.
Okay. Well, how about notes?
Notes pertaining to the interviews, yes,
Okay, and where are those notes?
in my report.
Well, where are the handwritten notes that you took?
The handwritten notes that I took, the handwritten notes are my notes are my report. I wrote out my report from, so in the handwritten notes, I got, the handwritten notes were probably, most of that was comprised of when I talked to her for the predicate, talked to the witnesses saying what I was there for, background information, where they worked, and whether the attorney was present or not. But any definitive, my definitive notes went into my report, and I'm not done with that yet. But I gave the parts that I did for the two witnesses, that is.
Okay, so you have turned over only 2 typed up reports of interviews of witnesses, correct?
2, yes, sir.
One for Katrina Sneed.
And 1 for Miss Jody Wagner.
Okay, where are the notes that you utilized to draft those reports?
The handwritten notes is the report that I put in. I wrote it out, and that's how I do my reports.
You wrote it out with a pen?
A pen.
And where is that? Where is that pen-written document?
It's probably, the pen-written document is probably, it may be at home, or I may have it in my room in a briefcase. But I can get that back to you though. I can see where it is and get it to you.
Well, the problem is it should have been to us already, Ms. Gardner. Do you know why we don't have the notes?
I don't have it.
Did you seek the notes?
I sought all notes, and he put them in his report, so that's all the notes I have is this
And
report.
I put them in the report.
Okay, but you weren't asked just for a report. You were also asked for your notes.
My notes are my report.
No, they're 2 different things. One, I'm talking about something that got typed up, and the other, I'm talking about something you wrote with your pen. Okay?
Yeah, just, yeah.
Those are 2 different things, right?
Right.
Okay. You haven't turned over what you wrote with your pen, have you?
Oh, no.
Okay, but you still have those.
I still have them.
And you think you may be able to turn them over at one of our breaks?
I can probably go back to the hotel and get them. But these are, again, like I said, you'll see that the notes that I wrote is a report that I wrote. You'll see.
You're saying that you're
Everything
typed up.
everything that's in my notes is encompassed in that report, almost word for word. I wrote it out. But you'll see. I hope I can find and show you. Nothing's changed from what I.
Well, I hope you can too, because this subpoena is a court order for you to produce them.
And it ought to be produced, sir.
Okay, what about recordings?
No recordings.
You never recorded any witness that you interviewed?
No,
Never?
never.
Not in this case at all?
Not in this case at all.
Can you tell me why Jody Wagner's lawyer specifically stated he didn't want the interview recorded?
I said, if they would prefer, we could record this interview for sake of clarity and transparency.
You said that to Ms.
Ms.
Wagner.
Wagner's attorney, he said he preferred that the interview not be recorded.
Okay, and did you make that same offer to Katrina Sneed?
Did we make that same offer? Yes.
And why didn't you record Katrina Sneed's interview?
The equipment malfunctioned, sir. It malfunctioned. We turned it on, and it didn't work. Her attorney can tell you, so it didn't work.
When did you test the equipment to see that it was not working?
Right before we started, but then turned it on, and it didn't record, sir.
Well, did you take any breaks and check to see whether it was working?
No, because I didn't even check it until we were done, and it didn't record.
It didn't record anything at all.
It recorded turning it on, sir, and that's all it did.
There's not a single question or a single answer that was recorded?
No, sir. Nothing was recorded. It just stopped. It stopped when we set it up, and I sat down, and that was the end of it.
And what machine did you utilize to try to record Miss Katrina Sneed's interview?
It was provided by Ms. Gardner.
It was equipment provided by Ms. Gardner.
Yes, it was.
So she wanted you to record the interview.
If they wanted to, if they agreed to it, we asked and said it was okay. Her attorney said it was okay to record it, but it didn't work. And my preference was to record all interviews, sir.
And are there any interviews that you did record?
No, sir.
Not a one.
Other than trying to do Miss Sneed's.
There are no other interviews of any other witnesses involved in your investigation on behalf of the Circuit Attorney's Office that got recorded?
Pertaining to this charge matter, no.
I'm not asking about pertaining
No,
to
sir.
this
No other
charge.
interviews. No other recordings. Period.
Okay. Any interview that you did on behalf of the Circuit Attorney's Office, did you record it?
No, sir. Other than an attempt to with Miss Sneed. No more.
Do you
No
know?
less.
Do you know where this testing equipment is now? The recording equipment is now?
It should be in Miss Gardner's possession.
Okay.
I turned it over to her.
Okay. We're going to ask the court to have that produced so that we can see it. Did you receive any documents from any witness? And by any witness, I mean any witness you interacted with on behalf of the Circuit Attorney's Office.
No, sir.
Did other employees or agent of Intera conduct interviews?
Conduct interviews in this particular matter?
On behalf of the Circuit Attorney's Office, related to your engagement with the Circuit Attorney's Office.
Yes.
Okay, and where are those reports?
Those reports are unrelated matters.
How do you mean
And
by unrelated?
There was another set of circumstances where they were looking at something else besides with the governor's case.
It had nothing to do with the governor?
It had nothing to do with the governor?
Are you saying interviews were conducted that had nothing to do with Governor Greitens?
I'm going to object. This is beyond the scope of this
Yeah.
deposition, and direct him not to answer.
You're directing him not to answer?
Yes.
Okay. And are you refusing to answer the question, did you conduct interviews on behalf of the Circuit Attorney's Office that did not relate to Governor Greitens?
Based upon the circuit attorney's instruction, I will not answer that, sir.
Okay. Right. You have testified that there were other interviews conducted, correct? By people connected with Intera.
Yes.
And you have access to their notes and reports.
Yes, the circuit attorney does.
Okay. But you are declining to answer my questions at the instruction of the circuit attorney.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you understand we may be going back to court, and if the court orders that you need to answer those questions, you may have to come back on another day.
Will do, sir. Without hesitation.
Okay. So, what is the other, did anyone from Intera interview witnesses other than Katrina Sneed and Jody Wagoner?
Can I object? This is beyond the scope of this deposition.
You may still answer.
Based upon the advice of the circuit attorney, I will not answer.
She didn't advise you not to answer that. She just objected.
I'm going to direct you not to answer.
On what basis?
That is beyond the scope of this deposition.
So you will not talk to us about, are you declining to answer questions about interviews that were done except for Katrina Sneed and Jody Wagoner?
Yes, sir.
Did you interview any other witnesses related to the specific allegations that are set forth in the indictment against Governor Greitens?
No, sir, I did not.
Did anybody from your company, Antera, interview any other witnesses related to the allegations in the indictment?
No, sir. The specific allegation against the governor, I did those 2 interviews.
And no other witnesses were talked to?
We attempted to talk to other witnesses,
Okay.
but did not get return calls.
Who else did you attempt to talk to?
Two or three other ladies that Katrina, Miss Sneed gave her their names as who she talked to about the case. I attempted contact with them, did not get a return call. The only return call I got was from Jody Wagner, and that's why I proceeded to interview her. The other 3 or 4, they did not return my calls.
So,
I left voice messages for them.
okay, we're going to certify the questions that he's declining to answer. Who are the other people you contacted that Ms. Sneed claimed she talked to?
Lauren DeSantis, and I think it's Shanna, I think Whedon Camper, and it might have been, it's another one, sir, I can't recall her name.
And did you take any notes reflecting that you had attempted to contact these individuals?
Yes, sir, I just said, on this date here, contacted, left voice message.
And where are those notes?
Probably my other notes as well.
Okay,
Those-
and
those
why
hand-
weren't those notes turned over pursuant to this subpoena?
I think they were included in the communication between Miss Gardner and I, where I said I contacted Miss Whedon Camper and did not get a return call.
Is there a reason why those haven't been turned over?
It was privileged communications, text between me and him.
Yep. So,
It's privileged simply because he was communicating with you? Is that your position?
It was a text between me and him that was a privileged communication of attempted this individual that made no contact, so it was privileged information.
Can you tell me what's privileged about it?
It's between me and the investigator. It was privileged communications between me and him. That was in the privilege log that we had.
So
Yeah.
the full extent of people interviewed by you or anybody from Antera related to the charge set forth in the indictment against Governor Greitens is Katrina Sneed and Jody Wagoner.
I did those interviews.
Are those the only interviews that were done by anybody from Antera?
By anybody with interior, as to what, sir? As to the specific charge?
Yeah, we'll start with that.
The specific charge was I did those interviews.
And
No one else did.
those are the only 2.
Only 2 that I did. To the specific charge.
And so what other matters were you asked to look at related to Governor Greitens?
Other than,
I'm going to object.
yeah, because I only followed the lead on the specific allegations against Mr. Greitens, Mr. Martin. That's all I did.
Okay, my question is, what other issues or allegations were you asked
I'm
to
object
investigate?
privileged communications. Direct you not to answer.
I will not answer based on.
You're refusing
I'm
to
refusing
answer?
to answer, sir.
Okay, we'll certify that question also.
I refuse to answer.
He has the information available.
Okay.
He's not going to answer.
You understand, you're acknowledged that you know that you were asked other topics to look into, correct? You've testified you were asked to investigate other matters, correct?
Follow-up leads, that's all.
Follow-up leads, that's
That's
all.
it.
No real allegations.
No real allegations?
You're just saying you were asked
No,
to follow up leads.
specifically about the charge matter That's all I asked for. That's the only interviews I did.
I understand that, but I'm asking beyond that. You were asked to look at other matters, correct?
I'm going to object. Privileged communications, not the purpose of this deposition. I'm going to direct Mr. Tisby not to answer.
Are you refusing to answer?
I'm refusing to answer.
Do you know the answer to that question?
I refuse to answer that.
Do you have within your knowledge information as to what else you were asked to investigate by Ms. Gardner?
I'm going to object. You're not entitled to discovery that is not subject to any charge matter. And we're talking about this matter at hand, the charge incident. So I'm going to object and direct Mr.
He's
Tisby not
making
to
a
answer.
record for to certify the question, whether or not he has the information available, and he's not going to answer based on what you are directing him to do. So just for the record, to certify the question, you want to establish that he has that information available. He could answer the question with the information available, but pursuant to your direction, he's refusing to, and then that question will be certified.
We wanted to make the objection clear for the record.
Okay. You have within your knowledge information that Ms. Gardner asked you to investigate other matters, correct?
There may be lead information out there. I'll put it that way.
But you're refusing to tell us what that lead information was?
Yes.
Based on
her,
Ms. Gardner's
Ms.
instructions?
Gardner's.
Okay. We're going to certify
Objection.
that, certify that question. Okay, did you take notes related to the investigative steps that you took related to Governor Greitens?
I'm going to object privileged communication.
I didn't ask about a communication. I asked if you took notes.
Oh.
Did you take notes related to investigative steps that you took related to Governor Greitens?
Yes, privileged notes between the circuit attorney and I.
And have you turned all those privileged notes that you call privileged notes over to the circuit attorney?
The circuit attorney has them.
And are they handwritten notes by your pen?
No, sir.
None of them?
None of them.
You don't use your pen and paper to take notes?
The notes are what I sent to her is probably, we discussed investigative steps, may have been, but that was strictly, I didn't write that out. It was just a communication between the circuit attorney and I.
Okay, so let me ask you, how many times during the investigation of Governor Greitens did you use a pen and write down something on a piece of paper?
Times when I tried to contact the potential witnesses and the interviews of Miss Sneed and Miss Wagner.
And that's the only time you ever wrote something down with a pen on a piece of paper related to this investigation?
Related to the charge matter.
And you have handwritten notes related to your attempt to contact witnesses?
Yes, sir. They're on sticky pads and things like that, but I'll bring them to you to show you.
And those notes have not been turned over or put in the privilege log?
Well, I don't have those notes.
No. And it again, it's just that I called the folks and I would let her know that I contacted them, and it should be,
It's a text.
it's in text messages.
Okay, but my request in this subpoena, Defendant's Exhibit 1, was that the notes be turned over.
The notes were turned over because those were the text messages.
No, you said you wrote them on a sticky
A
pad.
day's date.
That's
That's
right.
all.
Okay.
Contacted-
And I'm looking for those. I'm looking for those sticky notes that you say you wrote.
You can have them.
Okay, you're going to turn them
I'm
over.
going to turn them over to you. And it's just one-liners. So don't read anything into them. It's just one-liners.
Have you turned over all invoices related to the investigation of Governor Greitens,
My investigation continues, and I have some outstanding invoices which I haven't done yet.
except the subpoena required you to turn over any invoices that you had?
I'm not through completing with that part of the investigation. I haven't turned in the last hours.
But you have invoices prepared. that you-
Pending,
Well, why have you not brought the pending invoices?
because they're not ready.
What do you mean they're not ready?
They're not ready. I haven't added up my hours, and I sent them up to Michigan and back. I haven't done that yet.
Okay. Now, do you live in Michigan?
No, my company's headquartered in Michigan.
Okay. Is there an office in Michigan?
His office in Michigan.
And what's the address?
So I get this correct for the record. It is, hold on a second, I'm gonna give you the correct address. Off of our cards. Here you are. The address is 145 South Livernois, Livernois, Suite 350, Rochester, Michigan, 48307.
How many other businesses share that office space?
I don't know how many share the office space.
A number of them.
A number of them.
Others related to you
No, sir.
or friends of yours?
No, sir.
The other people that share offices in those spaces, you do not know them at all?
I do not know them at all.
Not a single one of them?
Not a single one other than receptionist. And that changes, that varies.
So this is really just sort of rent an office space, right? You're almost never up there.
I mean, I'm back and forth a lot there.
You live in Alabama, though?
Yes, sir.
How do you keep track of your time? You're billing $250 an hour or something for the work here?
Yes, sir.
How do you keep track of your time?
I do a summary. On every day I do 8 hours consultation, travel, whatever. I just make notes of that.
And you write that down with a pen on paper?
Yes, sir.
And
Sometimes now.
And where are those? Because those were also called for in the subpoena.
Those are the ones I had the pending invoices. Those notes are with the pending invoices I haven't done yet.
And what about the old notes
The old ones,
that might relate to invoices you've already finished? Where are those notes?
I think I copied the that invoice was submitted. I submitted those hours to Michigan, then they in turn do the invoice.
And so those notes are still up in Michigan?
Well, I can produce those for you if you want to.
Well, I mean, that's what we called for in the subpoena, sir. And I'm not quite sure why you have no compliance with this subpoena. In fact, I'm not sure why you were never shown this subpoena. Do you know why you weren't shown this subpoena?
I don't recall seeing that subpoena. I don't recall that specific.
You were asked in paragraph 5 for any and all emails or other communications between any current or former employee of Entera and Maurice Foxworth. Have all those been produced?
Yeah, the emails. I mean, the emails between Maurice and I. Yeah, those are just communicating between us is not related to this case. I haven't talked to him in this case about it at all, with anything. No emails, text, or whatever.
Well, it didn't limit it to this case. It asked for all emails and other communications that you had with Maurice Foxworth.
I think the circuit attorney turned over those copies of those emails,
And text.
which you have. I think they have them, right?
And how do you know Maurice Foxworth?
Meeting Miss Greitens and going to lunch or whatever.
Do you mean Ms. Gardner?
Miss Gardner, I mean.
Okay. So who was it that first introduced you to the circuit attorney's office?
Mr. Anthony Bach. Oh, it's in. Thank you, appreciate it. With Anthony Box.
So you got this engagement through Anthony Box?
He referred me to, he referred my name to Miss Gardner.
How do you know that?
He called me.
Okay, and what did he tell you?
He just said, Don, I got a matter that, can I forward your contact information on to an individual, very sensitive matter? I said, yes, you sure can.
Did he give you any more information than that?
No, sir, he did not.
Was he associated with Entera at that time?
He was associated with Entera at that time. Tony was one of the probably 50 or so independent contractors that we signed up to Entera.
So,
But he had never done any work for me at all.
so you have investigators signed up for you that have never worked for you.
Yes, sir, the independent contracts. I call them as needed.
And you never needed Mr. Box.
No, I never did need Mr. Box.
Has he ever done, from eternity to today, has he ever done work for Intera?
Object to relevance. This has been discussed in the motion of any personnel issues of Mr. Anthony Box was denied by the court.
No, the documents were denied, not facts related to his involvement with Intera. Has Mr. Box ever done anything on behalf of Intera?
Mr. Tony Box. Directly for Intera, no. But, no. No. He never was paid to do any work for Intera, never.
So he brought this matter to you, but you didn't utilize his services at all?
No, sir, I didn't.
Why is that?
Because he just made a referral. He didn't want to. There was no need to use him when I was going to do it along with my other people as well. That's why I sent Ms. Gardner the other set of potential investigators that could help with the case, not Mr. Box.
So what exactly did Mr. Box tell you the engagement might involve?
He didn't tell me anything about it. He said, I want to pass your information on to someone, and it's a very sensitive matter, and you will be getting a call. I said, okay, fine.
Did he tell you who you'd be getting a call from?
No, at the time he did not tell me. Because even I know he didn't tell me, because when Ms. Gardner called me, she said, I was given your name and number by Mr. Anthony Box. And she said, I'm the circuit attorney for the city of St. Louis. That's exactly what happened, sir.
And why didn't Mr. Box handle the matter himself?
I don't know what. You have to ask him, sir. I don't know.
Well, didn't he give you some explanation
No,
of
he
why
did
he
not.
couldn't handle it?
Period. Never.
Why do you seem so emphatic about
No, I'm emphatic because that's what happened. That's what happened, sir. I am emphatic that's what happened. That's why I'm emphatic.
Let me hand you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 2. Have you ever seen Defendant's Exhibit 2 before?
I have,
You have? And when did you see it?
just now.
Is this the first time you've seen it?
Yes, sir. This is the first time I've seen this, going over it, looking at it. Yes, sir.
You didn't see it before the deposition?
No, sir.
Okay. Does this document reflect all communications between you and the Circuit Attorney's Office?
Mr. Martin, it does reflect, as best I can recall without being in front of me, it does reflect the times that she and I have had communications from the 18th through the 15th of March, from 1/18/18 through 3/15/18. It looks like, as best as I can recall from memory, it looks like these are the communications that I can best recall.
And does it reflect all documents that you would have collected or utilized as part of your investigation of Governor Greitens?
As far as this matter, yes, sir. The charge matter, yes, sir.
Are you saying there are other documents that you have in your possession unrelated to the charge matter that still relate to Governor Greitens?
I'm not saying that, sir.
Well, I'm asking that now. Do you?
I'm not done with my investigation. I'm not going to comment on that.
You're not going to comment on that? On what basis?
That I'm not complete, and I'm not through. I have leads to do, and I'm not going to comment on the investigation. I'm ongoing investigation right now until I'm done.
And what right are you exerting to say you're not going to answer my question?
Because I have to get with the circuit attorney to find out exactly what I need to let her know where I am in my investigation. She can turn them over to you.
Well, I'm asking you to tell us about them.
I'm not going to tell you about them at this time.
You're refusing without, and nobody else has instructed you to refuse, and you're refusing anyhow.
I'm refusing that, sir.
We'll certify that question too, please. Just to be clear, the question was, do you have other documents that relate to other investigations that you say you are doing related to Governor Greitens?
Other investigations, other documents.
Yeah.
I'm going to object.
Yeah.
Privileged communication, and I'm going to direct the witness not to answer.
Do you
He's
know?
not asking the content, he's just asking whether he has the information available to make this record, so when we come back in front of the judge, he's going to order him to answer these questions at your expense.
But I'm clarifying the record, so make sure I object to privileged communications and directing him not to answer.
Okay, and are you refusing to answer the question of whether you even have documents related to other investigations of Governor Greitens?
Based upon the Circuit Attorney's direction, no. I am not. I refuse to answer.
Do you know the answer to my question?
I refuse to answer that.
Wow. That's kind of cool. Okay, what is it that you believe?
Hold on, let me get this right. Don't want to lose anything in exchange here, for the record.
What is it you believe are the charges against Governor Greitens?
What I believe are the charges against Governor Greitens, based on what's in the indictment.
And I'm asking you what's your understanding of what's in the indictment.
Understand that he's charged with a felony under the Missouri statute of invasion of privacy.
Well, give me a little more detail than that. Is that the extent of what you understand he's charged with? Is it simply invasion of privacy, or do you understand a little more than that?
I understand a little more. They took pictures, allegedly took pictures of a person without their consent.
And any other facts that relate to the charge? So it's you understand it to be against the law to take a picture of a person without their consent?
It was under Missouri statute, yes, sir.
And nothing else needs to be required?
Well, I have to let, I'm not going to profess to be an attorney. I have to look at the statutes. But I'm not, I just know the general description of what he was charged with.
Okay, what is your understanding of the general description of what he was charged
That he
with?
allegedly took a picture of a person without their consent, which is an invasion of privacy under the Missouri statute. That's my basic understanding of it.
And that's your understanding of what you were investigating the entire time you were investigating this
I was
allegation?
investigating the facts as to how that occurred. And that was talking to the victim or any other witness that could corroborate or disprove or prove or disprove whatever the allegations were. That was the gist of my investigation.
And how many witnesses did you talk to either
Two
prove
pertaining
or
to this particular
Let
matter.
me finish my question first. Only one person can talk at a time.
All right, I understand.
How many people total did you interview related to trying to establish those facts?
Two. Katrina Sneed and Jody Wagner. Period.
Were there other people that you learned had information that would be relevant?
Relevant to the particular charge?
Yeah.
Other than what Katrina Sneed provided, that's why I wanted to talk to the other folks. They may have had some material as to her telling them contemporaneously when this happened. That's it.
And that's Lauren and Sheena.
And it may be one more. She might have given us 3 names.
Well, how about her ex-husband, Philip Sneed? Did you interview him?
No, sir.
Why not?
There was no need. He was represented by counsel, and I felt no need to talk to him.
Well, Katrina Sneed was represented by counsel also, wasn't she?
Yes.
Jody Wagner was represented by counsel, wasn't
Yes.
she? So why did you not interview Phil Sneed?
Why I didn't do it?
That's right.
I didn't feel a necessary need for it. I talked with the circuit attorney, and I didn't feel the need to do any follow-up because the 2 interviews I had with Miss Sneed and with Miss Wagner was about their marital status. So I don't think I had to go into their marital status as it pertains to this charged matter. The charged matter between the governor and Miss Sneed, not between the governor, Miss Sneed, and her husband.
Okay, and so your decision was that Mr. Sneed, Phil Sneed, had no relevant information.
Yes, sir. as far as the charge that I was looking at the allegations against by his wife against the governor.
Did you interview Al Watkins?
No, sir, I did not.
Why not?
No need to. He was representing Mr. Sneed. I had no reason to talk to Mr. Watkins.
Okay, you decided that Mr. Watkins had no relevant information to these allegations.
I didn't ask the question. I felt no need to even talk to him. He was representing Mr. Sneed. I felt no need to even talk to him.
Because you decided he didn't have any relevant information?
Well, not to what I was looking at. I mean, as far as what was between he and his client was attorney-client stuff. So he couldn't tell me anything other than the fact that he was representing Mr. Sneed.
Did anybody on behalf of Entera interview Phil Sneed?
No, sir.
Did anybody from the Circuit Attorney's Office interview Phil Sneed?
I don't know. I don't know that.
Do you know whether anybody from the Circuit Attorney interviewed Katrina Sneed?
I know the circuit attorney was, the circuit attorney talked to her. But any other employee, I don't know. No, not that I know of.
When did the Circuit Attorney talk to her? Oh. And you're referring to Ms. Gardner, correct?
Yes, Ms. Gardner. Ms. Gardner might have talked to her somewhere toward the end of January, I think. Because I know I talked to her, I think on the 29th. I think she might have had a conversation with Ms. Gardner prior to that. Ms. Gardner can give you that exact date. I don't recall that date.
Okay.
Knowing that date.
Did you hear whether anybody else was in the interview when Ms. Gardner interviewed Katrina Sneed?
Her attorney, I think. Mr. Scott, what is his name? Scott Simpson? Yes, sir.
Anybody besides Ms. Gardner, Scott Simpson, and Katrina Sneed in that interview?
No, sir. Not that no. I was not in on that interview with Miss Gardner, Scott Simpson, or Miss Sneed. I do know that there was an interview or a conversation between the circuit attorney, Miss Sneed, and her attorney, Scott Simpson.
And were you provided any information as regarding what Katrina Sneed told Ms. Gardner in her interview?
Mr. Martin, no, sir, because I wanted to independently get my own take of the things. I did not ask the circuit attorney what her take was. I did not ask for any notes or anything else. I just wanted to have an opportunity to talk to Ms. Sneed and just let her tell me her side of the story.
Okay, my question wasn't what you asked for. My question was, were you provided any information from the interview that Ms. Gardner conducted of Katrina Sneed?
No, sir. Period.
Who else, when you interviewed Katrina Sneed, was in the room?
Ms. Gardner and her attorney, Scott Simpson.
When you say her attorney, you mean Katrina Sneed's attorney?
Yeah, Katrina Sneed's attorney.
So there were a total of 4 people in the room.
Yeah, 4.
Did Ms. Gardner ask any of the questions?
No.
Ms. Gardner say anything during the interview?
No.
The questions were only asked by you?
Only asked by me.
And then you took handwritten notes of what she said?
Yes, sir.
And you still have those notes?
Yes, sir.
And you believe you can produce those over the lunch hour?
If I got them, I can. But if they're at home, you have to wait after 5 till my wife get home, see if she can get them.
Okay. And you know if you can't produce them, we're going to have to call you back another day.
Appreciate. Tell me the date and time. For sure. Give me the date and time. Can you do it today? I'll make sure I'm available.
Well, if you have the records, we might be able to do it today.
Well, good. Oh, that'll be good. If I got them, I'll let you know.
Now, last week, were you working on work for the Circuit Attorney's Office?
No, sir.
What were you doing last week?
National security matter in Washington, D.C.
The whole week?
Yes, sir.
You were in Washington Monday through Friday?
I was in Washington and Detroit, Michigan.
Monday through Friday?
Yes, sir.
Did you appear before the grand jury?
No, sir.
Did you ever sit in the grand jury while others were testifying?
Never. This is on my second time coming to this building since I've been working this investigation.
When was the first time?
I came through one night. I came through one night. I used to work here in St. Louis. I came through one night when I came in from 64, and I drove by the building to get the exact location.
So, did you have any face-to-face conversations with Ms. Gardner before today?
Regarding what?
Anything?
Yes, sir. We talked when I got here and stuff this morning.
Other than today?
Yeah, she and I had face-to-face since January 18th.
Now, face-to-face, I mean in person, where you're in the same room that she is in.
What do you mean?
I mean, where have you been in the same room with Miss Gardner before today?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
Numerous times. When I come into town, we would meet. We would meet over breakfast, lunch, dinner, and there were times when she would stop by my hotel room, which is at the Resident Inn in Richmond Heights.
Okay, so
Because she would check me in, and all I have to do is show up, and then sometimes she have to show it, but other times she make the reservation I could get in.
so every time you came in town, she checked you into the hotel,
Yes, sir.
and you often met with her for a meal. And you several times met with her for a meal?
Sometimes, well, coffee. Mostly she drinks coffee and juice. Coffee and juice. And maybe if I got in town later or whatever, we would have like, I think we went to Maggiano's. Might have been the Cheesecake Factory.
So you had some social dinners with her also?
Yeah, just asking her where to eat. She took me places to eat.
Well, apparently she went with you.
So, on some of the occasions, yes, sir.
And who paid for those meals?
I paid for some, and the circuit attorney, I think, paid for some.
And you also got hotel rooms for witnesses, is that correct?
Yes, the circuit attorney did.
And what witnesses needed hotel rooms?
Jack Foley, and who else? I don't know. I can't recall anybody else. Jack Foley's the only one.
Okay, Jack Foley, is he a witness?
No, he's an investigator with me.
Okay. You are the lead investigator in this case?
I wouldn't say that. It's a team approach. I use a team approach.
Who is the lead investigator?
You can say I was the lead investigator.
Okay. Who else was assisting you in this investigation?
Jack Foley and Mr. Hank Glass, who did the records check. And then I also sent Miss Gardner the resumes, I think, of Mr. Tim McNally, former assistant director of the FBI, Mr. Tony Betts, who was recently with former director Louis Freeh's group. I think that's about all I sent her.
Well, those are resumes. Did they do any work in this investigation?
The only one is Jack Foley and Hank so far. Henry Glass is so far.
And Tony Box?
Oh yeah, and Tony Box, just talking to him, yes.
Well, you also had Tony Box go out to Washington to interview a witness, right?
Well, I think that was at the circuit attorney direction.
Well, if he represented himself as from Antara, would that change your mind?
If he made that representation.
Okay. And so he would have done that on your behalf?
Yes, well, a little higher. Yeah, it would have been on there, but it was also under the auspices of the circuit attorney. That's how I view everything. I tell them, we're working for the circuit attorney.
Okay, so where are the notes that Tony Box took for that interview?
I do. You have to talk to Tony, but I don't have those notes.
If he was working for Antara, why don't you have those notes?
He may not have them complete yet. I haven't asked for them.
Well, the notes were completed the day of the interview, right?
I don't know what he did with it. I don't know what he did.
And you made no search for them?
Made no search for those notes.
And why was that woman in Washington interviewed?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Yes.
Privileged communication.
Are you refusing to answer that question?
Based upon the instruction of the circuit attorney, I'm refusing to answer.
But you know the answer to that question, right? You know why he went to interview her.
It was related to an instruction by the circuit attorney.
And do you know what the instruction was?
No. You have to ask her.
You don't know why an employee of yours went to go interview somebody in this matter?
Not to the charge matter.
Did he interview her related to the charges against Governor Greitens?
I'll say as best as I can go. No, not the charge matter, no.
What was it related to?
Don't know. Again, that was at the instruction of the circuit attorney, and it wasn't related to the charge matter.
It wasn't?
It was not to the charge matter.
And what's your definition of the charged
What he
matter?
was indicted for.
And what was that again?
Invasion of privacy. Under the Missouri statute, whatever that statute reads, read it verbatim, that's it.
Well, have you read it verbatim?
I've looked at it.
Have you read it verbatim?
No, sir.
So you weren't even sure what you were investigating?
I knew what I was investigating per the instruction of the circuit attorney.
Okay, tell me what you were investigating.
Allegations that the defendant in this matter, which is Governor Greitens, had the alleged victim at his house, tied her up, blindfolded her, took pictures, and without her consent, and so she raised the issue, I guess, after the thing became public. That's what I know. And the circuit attorney had this laid in the grand jury, and the grand jury returned the indictment based upon that testimony, and that was the statute regarding the invasion of privacy.
And you're saying this woman, Katrina Sneed, raised this issue?
Raised what issue?
Well, that's what...
Well, she contacted, well.
No, go ahead. She contacted who?
The circuit, let's see. Miss Gardner, I'll tell you, but for whatever reason, the circuit attorney office was contacted. I don't know if it was through her attorney or Miss Sneed. And that's why the initial interview was conducted by the circuit attorney.
Okay, so you were informed that Ms. Sneed contacted, or either by herself or through her attorney, the circuit attorney's office
Yes, sir.
to volunteer to be a witness.
I didn't say that. I said she contacted the circuit attorney's office, and that conversation was between, I don't know if it was Mr. Simpson, or if it was between Ms. Sneed, or between the circuit attorney. Whatever, the circuit attorney can answer that question. I can't.
Who told you that it was the attorney or Ms. Sneed herself that contacted the circuit attorney's office first?
Ms. Gardner.
And did she tell you what Ms. Sneed said to her?
No, sir. I did not. As I stated earlier, let me reiterate, I specifically did not want to hear what she told the circuit attorney. I wanted to hear it for myself because I was conducting an independent review as requested by the circuit attorney. And in my conversation with the circuit attorney, I said, I'll do this, and I instructed the same. We would do an independent investigation regardless of partisan politics, the news media, the optics, or whatever. I emphatically said I want to get this and look at this on my own through me and our team to give a product to the circuit attorney that she could present to you and let the facts stand on their own merits. And I'm straight down the road with that, sir, emphatically. No side deals, no sidebar discussions. I just want to make that perfectly clear. I don't even do it.
So you don't, if Ms. Sneed contacted the circuit attorney's office, you don't know why?
No, that's the circuit attorney will have to say that. I do not know that initial conversation, sir, and never asked.
But you said the allegation is that there was a picture taken, correct?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen the picture?
No, sir. I don't think anybody has.
Do you know for sure that there is a picture?
I just a matter of conjecture. I haven't opined to see whether yes or no there was a picture taken. I haven't opined one way or the other.
Okay. So you've completed your investigation, right?
As far as the charge matter,
Yeah, sure.
I should have it open unless there's, unless someone else comes forward, which I've reached out to and haven't, I mean, the other two witnesses, they're still open, and I haven't reached back out to them yet, though.
Okay, but you have not seen any alleged picture.
No, I have not. I don't think anybody has.
And you did a complete and thorough investigation and have not found anybody that has seen any alleged picture, correct?
Correct.
Right. Right. The allegation is that a picture was taken,
Yes, sir.
okay? What steps did you do to find the picture, if there was one?
In concert with the circuit attorney, we checked, we wanted to see exactly what phone he may have utilized. And so the circuit attorney issued a grand jury subpoena for records,
For what records?
Mr. Greitens' phone records.
Okay. And did you obtain those phone records?
Did we obtain them? I don't.
Not in this manner.
Hmm?
Not in this manner.
Huh?
Not in this manner.
Not in this matter. Oh, yes. Yeah, I don't think we did. No. No, we didn't.
Okay. So you subpoenaed phone records and didn't obtain any?
The circuit attorney subpoenaed records. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen any. She subpoenaed records, I know.
So what other steps did you take to try to locate this alleged photograph?
Mr. Martin, I did not pursue trying to find this photograph. I'm not technically oriented, and an expert would have to do that. And I did not engage. I didn't engage in trying to find this picture.
Okay. So is it fair to say that your entity, Intera, was specifically hired to investigate the allegations contained in the indictment?
Yes, sir.
And you have just testified that you made no effort to try to locate any alleged photograph.
That I made no effort. That I made an effort. Other than subpoena, other than just running a normal phone check and finding out his correct number and pass it on to the circuit attorney. Because on my own, we would not be able to even access the carrier information unless it was through a court order, or at least a subpoena. I don't do investigation other than through court orders or subpoenas.
Okay. Are you, so the answer is no, you did not take any steps to locate any photograph, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, are you aware of anybody taking any steps to locate any alleged photograph?
Am I aware of anybody?
Yeah.
I haven't researched that, other than maybe you. Other than
So your testimony is you're unaware of anybody that has made any effort to locate any alleged photograph.
not that I know of.
Okay, we're going to take a break since it's been an hour.
Put off the record at 11.